I had yesterday someone in my practice, and this client was saying that, yes, but I like that. I want to eat that because I like it. Fair enough. And that's your choice. And you have the willpower to eat that. But is that serving you? Is that food loving you back?
This podcast is part of the GK Media Studios Creators Network, helping people tell their stories. Become a storyteller today and learn about our podcaster network at gkmediastudios.com.
Welcome to another episode of When You Choose You podcast. I'm your host, Smaranda, the owner and the founder of Authentic Health. Authentic Health is a place where we provide people who want to live better lives with support like nutrition and positive psychology. And I am coaching people. That's the best or the best feeling ever. And it's like giving people support, creating that safe space where they can feel they're seen and heard and they feel safe. One element what strikes me, and I have to admit publicly, frustrates me and makes me upset, and I think probably motivates me to do this work and making my voice louder and more firm, is that we are becoming a target for food companies, or food producers, marketing companies, pharmaceutical companies. And I want to talk today about a topic what I think is we need more clarity than ever to make our decisions in a very healthy way when it comes to food. So my topic today is, are we afraid of food, and why did we land in this place? So because I like neuroscience, and neuroscience, you can't really talk about neuroscience if you are not talking about the brain design and looking on ancestral background. I'm looking at our human design. So we were created to live connected with the nature, and we were part of where we were on the planet. We were always on the planet. So the human races was on this earth. Every time when we were eating to give ourselves energy to think, energy to make decisions, energy to hunt for the first meal, energy to feed our babies, energy to make babies, energy to defend ourselves, energy to occupy new territories, energy to make decisions, political decisions, economical decisions. So the more we are looking at generation after generation after generation, wars and all of that. Anyway, along the way, we didn't really think very much about food as a danger, didn't we? It's very new. And I'm wondering, our poor brain, and of course I'm talking about from a collective perspective, our poor brain must be absolutely overwhelmed. And you know that I don't like being a victim of our own circumstances, but to give ourselves a little bit of grace, because the amount of information what is thrown at us on a daily basis through social media, through mass media, you are going in the shop and the marketing messages, the islands in the supermarket are all telling you, buy me, buy me, buy me. And it's all about foods. And my question is, do you know yourself what your body needs? Our bodies are made from protein, from water mainly, and then from protein. And when I say protein, I'm including in and focusing on amino acids and water, protein, fat, and carbs. Very little glucose. So why would we eat differently than what we are designed from or made from. Because if you give ourselves different pieces of information, food somehow, and I want to make it clear, food is information. Food is an chemical information. So when you put a food in our mouth, the brain knows that the food is coming, so it starts in your mouth and knows the brain, an optimal functioning brain, will signal the stomach to release gastric juice or gastric acid. And that gastric acid will be there when the food comes down to be broke down and starting to being digested and absorbed. Anything what is like only talking about this aspect, why do you think we should drink juices as food or smoothies as food? And I was talking to one of my guests recently in the podcast. I don't want to repeat myself in that direction because I'm totally in agreement with that idea. Chewing is very important, and it's not only important for we break the food down and preventing to choke ourselves, but it's important for the whole holistic part, the energy part, it's part of what we're supposed to do when we eat. Now, bringing the discussion back to the food and how we came to this chaos when it comes to food, I think we were greedy. My conclusion is that we lost our capacity of saying no. We let the money to become our main trigger or our main motivator. It's not what makes us safe and makes us healthy, is what makes us more money. And I'm talking about the food producers. And that's where I think the healing of this situation needs to start, is to start a conversation about food. Why do we use so much additives and emulsifiers and all of that? Yesterday, St. John's King's College in London, sorry for me mixing up the name, but it's not clear in my head at the minute. Anyhow, one of the universities in London released a study what shows that emulsifiers in the food are the cause for Crohn's disease. And it was all like, I'm teaching this eating style and I am talking to people how to stop. We have a red list on when I'm coaching people. I give them the main thing what I give to someone when I enroll someone is a food what you can consume in abundance, what is 80%. If you can go in only 100%, go all of them, it's fine. But then you have a list with 20% and then you have a list with red, never. If you want to eat healthy and you want the body to work for you, feed your body with foods what don't have emulsifiers and additives. And that's one thing. We were talking about that in the last 4 years, since I am in this field full time. And all I heard was, it's not scientifically proved. There is not enough evidence that don't. And we knew that emulsifiers and additives in the food are not healthy and they don't do us any good. So I'm glad that it finally is put in. There is evidence that actually emulsifiers are a danger. So where I get frustrated and upset is, where did we lose connection with what actually food was meant to be, and why it's so difficult to choose healthy foods under the current world environment, culture, society, circumstances. So if I'm looking at plain, nutritious foods, I am looking at animal origins, and this is me, I am going to say, I recommend to my clients to take their proteins, which are the main building blocks in their diet, from an animal origin. So eat protein originated from the animal field, and because of the amino acids. And my logic behind that is I have all respect for people who are vegan. Totally. I totally respect, and I don't dismiss anyone who comes to me. I have meal plans and recipes that I can accommodate all of that. But in that case, if it's a choice because you want to protect the environment and you are thinking of from an ethical point of view, that's totally fine. But you need to supplement with amino acids and B vitamins. So be extremely aware when you eat omnivore diet, you don't need supplementation as much. You need probably magnesium and vitamin D, because we are in Ireland, for people who are listening and they're not in Ireland, on a regular basis. Other than that, you don't need much supplementation as far as I'm concerned. If you are eating protein, good quality protein with amino acids and good fats and healthy fats. So why did we become so precious when it comes to don't eat saturated fats, don't eat unsaturated fats, don't eat that food is not healthy, that food is not healthy, that food is not healthy? Our ancestrals, I think they're turning they're looking at us and they're saying, what in the name of God are they doing? Like, we are not only destroying our planet when we eat so much and consume so much, but we are going against our bodies. Why do we make so complicated? You know that when it is complicated, it's unfamiliar and the brain perceives it as unsafe. And that's why we lost our capacity to keep going with a healthy food, or it's not even a healthy food. We make so hard for ourselves that we are dropping it. We are not able and we are not supposed to. How about choosing foods and loving foods that love us back? And I have to give credit to Dr. Daniel Amen, who was one of my lecturers in my Institute of Integrative Nutrition in New York when I did my qualification. And I cannot agree more with about that phrase with him, because I had yesterday someone in my practice, and this client was saying that, yes, but I like that. I want to eat that because I like it. Fair enough. And that's your choice. And you have the willpower to eat that. But is that serving you? Is that food loving you back? Because you might love that food because of the additives and the emulsifiers and the making overly palatable, because that's the aim of the food industry. But that piece of something doesn't have, I don't know how to call it, doesn't have anything to do with what a food is actually. A food supposed to be, and I know I said that in a radio show in Clare, and I was a little bit, I saw the face of the host, very puzzled. Okay, what do you mean? I said foods don't need labels. When the food needs a label, that's a sign that there is things added to that food. And I'm going to give you an example. Why should we read the ingredients list on a carton of milk? Why? Milk is milk. But no, we made it utterly complicated, and we took the food industry, and I'm sorry I blame the food industry, but it's where I feel the problem resides from my point of view. So we pasteurized the milk in order to give the milk long shelf life, and that's one factor what probably covers 80% of the decision makings in the food industry. So we took all the nutrients and the fibers and all of that, and we have now a white liquid, and we need to fortify that with vitamins and minerals and all of that. So that's an ultra processed drink from my point of view. That's when we need to question those products and decisions. But if you're going to milk a cow and you put in a bottle, glass bottle, or whatever container you want to use, that food doesn't need label, does it? You know what it is. Our brain knows what it is. Our bodies are able to recognize those foods. Our ancestrals didn't have labels when they hunt. They didn't poison themselves, and if they did, it was part of the ecosystem. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I know it probably sounds like, what is she talking about? But did we lose the connection with what actually food means? And we have to have that conversation. If we ask our children where the food is coming from, I bet you, they will tell that the food is coming from the supermarket. I don't think the children can envisage very little. If they're lucky enough to have a conscious parent, and if you are that conscious parent, I want to acknowledge you and I want to give you a hug, a virtual hug. But I don't think we educate our children enough. And not only that, our health was messed up in the last 30, 40 years, probably 50 years, but our next generation lost completely the sense of where the food is coming from, what we did to the food, and why it's so important to bring that conversation back. Because I bet you half of the children today, if not more, they don't know where the eggs are coming from. They probably pick the carton in the shop and they know, but they never saw a hen laying down eggs in their lives. So, my dear ones, let's don't be afraid of food. Let's get it clear, because if we address this problem, if we get clarity, and do you remember the episode when I was talking about intention? I never saw anyone, including myself, when you set an intention, the universe is going to unveil an answer. It's a fact. When you are looking for something, you are going to get an answer. I can't promise you that will be an instant or you will find, but you prompt your brain to look for an answer, and the outside environment is going to project that back at you. So set an intention of getting clarity about food, and you are going to get clarity. If that means to make an appointment with a health coach or a nutritionist, to start using AI for get you started to find sources of information. Don't rely on a simple Google search. Don't rely on simple chat GPT or AI, because it's not really relevant. But if you ask for sources where you can get your information and what are the most credible sources, I can guarantee that you are going to get answers. And let's put a smile on our faces when we talk about food. I got extremely tense and concentrated there because it's a passion. I'm passionate about food. I'm so upset when I see more contradictory messages, more confusion, and we need clarity. We need to understand what food means, and to understand that the food has the role to provide us with energy for thinking, energy for making decisions, energy for functioning, for moving, for enjoying life. Food is not an emotional crutch. We were not supposed to eat to fill ourselves, to feed our emotions. We're supposed to provide ourselves with energy. So if you find that you buy food for treating yourself, I'm going to say you treat yourself by starting to get clarity about food. For more information about food, check out AuthenticHealth.ie. If you want to get in touch on my social media, get in touch in social media. Always people who are reaching out, they get a bonus, a free consultation with me, because when people are reaching out, they deserve a bonus for reaching out. That's what I believe anyway. So that's why every time when I get a new client coming towards me, I reward for taking the first step. Lots of love from me here, and I will talk to you again next time.